One. It's kind of like a Janet Jackson video in here right now. Hi, KBLX Nation. It's Nikki Thomas. Surprise, surprise. I am here with you early today. Hello, John. John says, I vote for you, Nikki. I certainly receive and appreciate that today, John. Welcome. Welcome to everyone. I see that we've got some eyes on us today. We're going to have some very important conversations because today is a big day. All right. So as you can see, we've got conversations happening today that need to be had, the conversations that we want right now. And I see, hold up a second. I see a few more folks. Samuel, I see you, Samuel. Thank you so much for being with us. All right. So this is what's happening right now. Welcome, KBLX Nation, to We Decide the Future, presented by DreamCorps. Share this video right now. It's election day. Please share this video right now because you never know. There is somebody on your friends list that needs this information. Absolutely. So let me tell you a little bit about DreamCorps. It is a bipartisan social justice nonprofit founded by Van Jones right here in the Bay Area. Shout out Oakland. I'm sitting in Oakland right now near Lake Merritt. This is where all kind of wonderful things happen. DreamCorps closes prison doors and opens doors of opportunity by bringing people together across racial, social, and partisan lines to create a future with freedom and dignity for all. DreamCorps works in the areas of criminal justice reform, the green economy, and tech equity. See, this is real serious work right here. Keisha's Collections, I see you. I see you, Keisha's Collections. Thank you for being here with us today. Okay, and this year, of course, since it's such a big year, such a big election, DreamCorps is making sure that our voices are heard in this 2020 election. So I have a very special guest today, KBLX Nation. She is, we're just going to have a wonderful conversation. She is going to have a discussion with us on creating lasting change in the 2020 election. It's DreamCorps CEO Nisha. I hope I'm saying it correct. Yes. Nisha Anand. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing good, Nikki. How are you? I mean, I'm doing all right. There's a little anxiety here, but I'm doing all right.
Very busy day. It is a high anxiety day. And you're talking to us from Berkeley, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I love this. Berkeley and Oakland in the building in here today, honey. Okay. So we're going to have this great conversation. Samuel says, I voted 3 weeks ago. So I love that the KBLX Nation, you know what I mean, checking in and representing that they're voting, they're handling their business. So Nisha, welcome. And I know you've got some great things you want to fill us in on today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Samuel, I'm glad you voted. Check on your friends. I think that there are a lot of folks who haven't and just need an extra reminder. So absolutely get out there and vote. And the most important thing I can tell folks today as we're waiting for the results is today is a day about patience. We have to wait. We rarely find out who the winner is the night of. There are always extra ballots to be counted. And so being patient, if it comes to that, that's my word of the day to everyone is patience. We may not know. What we do know is that this election, people have come out in historic numbers. The people have come out despite a pandemic in which we've experienced over 200,000 people have died, the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. And we are still getting out there by mail, by car, by any means possible. We're making sure our voices get heard. And that's what's most important to me today is the will of the people. So let's count every vote. Let's take the time to count every vote. It means we got to be patient. But I'm so encouraged about the amount of voter participation. I am 43 years old. I tell everyone all that. I don't mind. This is definitely the most consequential election of my lifetime. I think there's a lot on the line. So I'm excited that other folks are feeling it and getting out there in record numbers.
Yeah, it is wonderful to know that people are taking this super seriously right now and that they're not leaving anything to chance. I voted early. I love hearing it. Hi, Darnaro. I see Darnaro. I see Keisha's Collection. She says this election is so stressful. Please take a moment and breathe. That's the other thing. Please have some quiet time. Have a cup of tea or cup of coffee, cup of water. Just sit and breathe. And the patience, it's absolutely a virtue for today. All right, so we see that you guys are, in pocket. You voted today. Share this video on your page to remind your family and friends to vote. And you can text DREAM to 97483 to see how you can continue to make a difference this election day. So let's get everybody that, no, wait a second. Let's get everybody the text information here. Text DREAM to 97483. So we can kind of put that up there so folks will know and they can like get everything straight and get it in their phones. So Nisha, you've led quite an active political life. Can you tell us a little bit about your time serving as Van Jones' chief of staff?
Sure. My story actually starts as a young radical activist. I would protest absolutely any cause there was. I'm probably one of the only people you'll meet in terms of this presidential election where I have been arrested outside the Bush White House. I protested Clinton and, for different policies. And then I helped work with both the Obama administration and the Trump administration, which I think is a long history of political activism and doing it in a lot of different ways.
Wow.
So
that's extremely interesting. Yeah.
I don't know what to say. Like, it's interesting, isn't it? Sometimes
it's very interesting.
What a life I led. But I started working for Van Jones during the Obama years. And when I interviewed for the job, Van told me that we were going to pass bipartisan criminal justice reform. And if you don't know who Van Jones is, you can catch him tonight on CNN. He's had also a long, interesting career that goes from activism to being in the Obama administration and now a CNN newscaster. But when I was hired, he told me we were going to pass it. And I thought that sounded like an oxymoron. I had been on the streets protesting against police brutality, the death penalty, all sorts of things. I couldn't imagine that there were, and I'll just let you know that I'm on the left because I might say it a few times, but I didn't think there were Republicans who cared about criminal justice reform. And Van walked me through it. He said, they aren't coming at it from the same angle that we are, not necessarily for the same reasons we are, but we want the same outcomes. And he saw a path forward. And he walked me through it. For us, the criminal justice system is unjust. It is a racist, unjust system that has all of these systemic problems that we've seen, locks way too many people up, and doesn't have any real relief or impact or results. On the other side, we found there were economic conservatives who thought we spend too much money. There was religious right conservatives who believe in second chances and were against the death penalty and wanted to see some redemption. And there was also the libertarian right who also didn't like a large police state and so many people incarcerated. So there was room, there was a path for us to work together, and we did. And under the Obama administration, we got pretty far. We held the first ever bipartisan summit on criminal justice reform on the Hill, and we thought maybe 20 people would come, DC insiders. We had 800 people come, including Obama sending a video message, Attorney General Eric Holder, but we also had Republican governors, Nathan Deal, Rick Perry from Texas, Nathan Deal's from Georgia. It was remarkable. And then Trump got elected. We didn't get it passed during the Obama years. Congress just didn't pass it. And then Trump was elected. And so we had a moment where we had to think, can we get it through? You can't pass a bill without getting the president's signature at the end of it. And we formed a strategy, built a big bipartisan coalition, and passed the First Step Act, the historic criminal justice reform that's now seen over 7,000 people return home when we got this passed. And the question was, do we wait? There are people inside who need us. And that's the thing that's most important, is the people inside aren't like, please pass some reform and legislation. Please get me out of here, but don't you dare work with a Republican. Don't you dare, have Trump sign it. That's not real. That's not how it works. And so we plugged ahead and we worked with the administration. We worked with a large table, and I'm really proud of that piece of legislation. people are home today because of it.
Well, this is a very refreshing conversation. It really is. So this is awesome to hear, and it does seem pretty challenging to put into practice. I think a lot of us have to make a lot of mind shifts to, accept and then like jump into action. How do you find common ground?
A lot of times when I say common ground, people think I mean compromise or some wishy-washy, like, oh, we all like puppies or something like that. For me, common ground is much bigger. It is powerful. It's the kind of common ground that can secure human freedom. And so throughout that first step, act, fight, we made sure to put the people up front. Who is in pain and who is suffering? And that's what I do from my side. It's what I do for all of our work. And we work on climate and we work on issues of tech equity and jobs. And if you keep the people in the front of your mind, you can't go wrong. And I think when you take time to connect with pain, the pain that we're feeling, and now in this pandemic and the economic downturn, some people are feeling it worse. Some people are feeling it differently. The pain that we're feeling here in California is very different, I'm sure, than the pain that folks are feeling in my home state of Georgia. It's different. But connecting with the pain of the people, you can't go wrong. I think if you can find that common pain where we're all hurting, you can come together for common purpose. And that leads to amazing projects, better solution sets that include more people. I'm the kind of person who, as a progressive, I believe my core value is to be as inclusive as possible. I can make sure my solution works for those hurt the most, the least amongst us. It will work for everybody. I hold on to that. And then I can have partners who believe differently and have different values, as long as I don't compromise on what's important.
So how do we know our democracy is truly working?
That's a great question. Democracy, I did not ever think we would be in this place where democracy is on the line. But if you ask me what you're voting for above all else, it is democracy. Our elections, this idea that every person should have a vote, that every person's voice should be heard in this democracy that we have, that's important. And it's never been perfect. Our founding documents say to form a more perfect union. And that's what we've been fighting for every single day, to form a more perfect union. I still think there's a lot of work to be done. But I used to be sure we were always moving ahead. Like I just said, I always thought we were increasing the circle of who could participate in this in our country, who could have freedom, who could have dignity. Those were the values I thought we were all on the same page and moving towards. And right now there are places where it's hard to vote. People have had to overcome great obstacles to get that vote heard, and we're still doing it. And there could be battles in the courts over trying to throw away ballots. That should be abhorrent to anyone who cares about democracy. Wow. In the Civil War, in the Great Depression, in both world wars, we had elections. You can have an election in this pandemic, and it can be fair, and every vote can be counted. There's no reason to stop. But also, I think another important part is the peaceful transition of power. That's what sets us apart in the United States as democracy than several other nations around the world. That we've believed since the beginning that you have to peacefully, you concede an election when you lose, and you lovingly hand over the reins of the country to whoever's next in line, and you set them up to succeed. That is rare. It was rare when it happened. It's still rare now in a lot of places in this world. And that's a beautiful thing. It means we don't have to have coups, armed coups, military dictatorships taking over. And so for me, this peaceful transition of power is a really important marker of our country.
Let me just say that speaking to you today has my stress level gone down a bit. Where, you know what I mean? It feels like, where everybody's so wound up, so in their feelings, so in a space of fear. But I don't know, you're the first person I've spoken, no, we can do this, and there's strategy and, there is, action steps there. So it's like, you can see how we can. And it's an amazing thing to connect with. Yes, thank you, Keisha. She says, yes, thank you. So, you're just kind of easing all of our fears right now. So let's shift a little bit.
Okay.
Because I think everybody who's about to say, yes, I voted, everybody shared video, everybody's doing the work. What can voters expect to see during tonight's election coverage? Everything has been different this year. So I know it might be a little bit different than we're used to.
Yes. One is don't expect results before you go to bed. I just don't think it's likely. It would have to be a pretty big blowout for any of the major networks to call the election early. And there's swing states we're all watching. What's going to happen in Florida, Pennsylvania, Arizona? These are really pivotal states. And the margin of who wins those states is going to dictate when they can actually call the results. So I think the first thing is to be very patient and be very wary of anybody, and especially any candidate that wants to call it before the major networks call it, that are really trying to be vigilant. Because there is election day voting, which can be counted really fast, but then there are all the mail-in ballots that come in later. Our military service members overseas, it takes a while for those ballots to come in and be counted. So in a close race, we have to count those. So today, you're going to hear a lot of speculating. I think that folks are going to really want to analyze what each county means, what each results means, and some of that will be important. But I think hang in for the long haul. Of course, if there's a blowout, it might get called early. Don't expect that. Expect it to be long. And I think if you do text this number that Nikki put up earlier, you'll be connected with our community, but also on our website at thedreamcorps.org, we have action steps you can take, and we have some ready for any eventuality. I think. I mean, who knows how many scenarios there could be. Mm-hmm. But the action tonight is to be patient. The action tomorrow could be different. Our election officials have been trained to count votes and make sure the election is certified for a long time. We've done our job of voting. It's now their turn to do their job of counting the ballots. And so we should support them. We should support their time to do that. And I guess my best advice is to stay tuned. If you join us and you join our website, we will give action steps. If there's a contested election or some scenario in which a candidate won't concede the election, there are a lot of people figuring out what the next steps are. So
this is
all of the nightmare scenarios. I'd say let's just wait.
Yeah, it's a very simple reminder, but it's super powerful because we have to think about, okay, yes, pandemic, and the voting process has been so much different. Voter turnout is huge. So, lots of room for things to happen that we did not anticipate. And of course, there's more of a time investment that the people who are working at polling places, the count is different. So, and I know that everybody has experienced a different. Most people voted early. They voted already. They voted well ahead of time. Some people are last minute. They're still the mail-in, and just like you mentioned, service people overseas. So many different elements, and such a different feeling to everything, and the work is just different. Yeah. So
we just have to make sure the will of the people is heard. I think that's the most important thing for our democracy in this moment. So
you're like a therapist or something. You're really.
I think that's so funny to hear, but because I have other staff who very much are the therapist of staff. And actually we have another thing called Dream Circles. And today we're hosting a few events to help ease your anxiety. And they also put out a resource. So you'll go through meditation with one of our wonderful lead meditators, Tim Blessed. He's amazing. And will help you breathe through this election process and ease your anxiety. And they also put out a toolkit that's like 5 things you can do instead of, biting your nails or pacing the kitchen, which is what I am doing most of the day to ease the anxiety. So you can check that out too on our website. Some sing-alongs and things like that are included.
Oh my God. Where have you been all our lives, Nisha? Where have you been? This is amazing. So the DreamCorps.org is where you can find all of this wonderfulness. I love the I forget what I was talking about the other day, but just a very holistic approach. And it's amazing that we can put a holistic approach on top of this election procedure this year. This is genius stuff right here that folks can, kind of virtually hold our hands while we experience our feelings inside of what's happening right now. Because again, so different. It's like our worlds have been totally rocked this year before we even start thinking about an election. And there's a lot of things we've experienced that we haven't experienced closure for.
No.
Yeah, a friend of mine mentioned that, and I blinked several times. I was like, that's exactly it. We've had to just endure several things that we did not have a chance to grieve or have closure for. Whew.
We have gone through so much together this year.
Oh, man, I don't want to get all the way in my feelings today. I feel it bubbling up inside though. So just real quick, I know we've had conversations about this, but just another quick reminder about what is at stake and why voting is so important. I know that all our folks watching right now are saying, hey, I voted, but we're sharing this. This is going to be witnessed in replay form. So just once again, touch quickly on, the hows and whys of the importance of this.
I think, yes, a lot of us have voted at this point. One of the things we can do is tell everyone the patience part. Mm-hmm. Well, tell your friends, we want to make sure every vote is counted. We came out in record numbers. Let's make sure those record numbers are counted. So that's the patience part, because folks are going to get more anxious if this goes on for a few days. If there are a few ballots, if there's some hanging chads in Florida, we're going to be feeling this for quite a while. So patience is important. There is so much on the line. I talked a lot about democracy being on the line, but we are voting because we saw what happened when we were taken over by COVID-19. We saw very clearly how ill-prepared we were to take care of our people in our communities. The schools shut down, transportation, we couldn't get to the jobs, there weren't jobs. We've seen restaurant closures, we've seen folks, if you were an artist, forget it. If you're a performer in a theater, there's no income for the foreseeable future. We're hurting at every single level of this economy, and we need solutions for that. That's what's on the line. So I do want to see us tackle this pandemic, but then tackle all of the underlying problems we saw laid bare when this pandemic came. I want my kids back in school. For one thing, I really do.
Wow.
Just so much.
So many things. As soon as you start talking about like that feeling, it's almost like a wave that would come over everything of like when the pandemic first hit. It was such an indescribable feeling, like what is happening? What is this? What is going on that's so big that we're shutting down everything? It's a type of fear that, again, we've not experienced before. So, again, it's almost like when you say patience, it's like that's a few extra steps. You know how like when you're meditating and somebody says, hey, relax your shoulders. You have to say it a few times before those shoulders actually get down to relaxed level.
I just realized mine were up here too.
I know. Everybody's like, you realize halfway through the way, oh, okay, let's bring the shoulders down. So it's a process. Everything is a process, and you have to just keep reminding yourself. And again, when you describe the dream circles to us, it's like, that is genius. It's something that I totally need. And when we go to the DreamCorps.org, we can get connected.
Absolutely. And text that number too. We have volunteers that write back. So you can ask anything I said there. You could also just text and ask, what about the circles? Where can I get the meditation? Someone can definitely get back to you too.
Okay, hold up. I've never heard of all this stuff you're talking about. You said volunteers that will text you back?
Yes.
Oh my God, I so need this. So you can text DREAM to 97483, or you can go to the DreamCorps.org. Please share this video, KBLX Nation, because this is some new and exciting information. The polls are open until 8 p.m. today. I think everybody knows, but again, it's nothing bad about the reminder. And we have to consider that this video will live a bit and breathe a bit today in replay. And someone will see it on your wall and say, you know what? I listened to the lady from DreamCorps and she set my mind at ease. Let me, because I think there's probably lots of people that are so frustrated that they might still be on the fence today. And it just might be the deciding factor for some people to say, you know what, it's not as stressful as I thought it was.
Yeah.
You know,
we'll take it each step. We'll take it each step of the way. There are things that can be done at every step to ensure our democracy and that the will of the people is heard.
So yeah, this is amazing. So I want to go through everything one more time for the folks who are watching. If you're watching us in replay right now, if you're watching us live this very second in this current time and space, once again, the DreamCorps.org. So much great information, very holistic approach to democracy, letting your voice be heard and addressing your particular feelings and experiences about what's happening in our world right now. You can also text DREAM to 97483. Or if you need information right this second, hey, wait a minute, I forgot this, or I just dropped my ballot. Hey, wait a minute. 800-345-VOTE. That's 800-345-8683. This is so amazing talking to our CEO of DreamCorps, Nisha Anand. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we wrapped up today?
You know, I think there's a lot possible when we're together. There's a lot more possible at our best in our history. It's when we come together, when we support one another and we make sure everyone is taken care of. And that's what I want to do from here until this election is called, is just be there for each other. Let's take care of one another. And whatever happens next, then let's keep fighting for freedom and dignity for everybody.
I love it. You're our best friend in our head now. It's like whenever I think about something stressful, I'm going to think about you. Patience. This has been so amazing and such a great reminder to check in with ourselves, while we're experiencing all these things. Thank you so much, DreamCorps CEO Nisha Anand. Thank you, KBLX Nation, for being with us today. Remember, we decide the future. So get out there, cast your ballot, share this video, go to the DreamCorps.org for more information about voting and this 2020 election. And again, this is refreshingly unexpected information and a new, fresh approach to how we do things. And it's a glimmer of hope for me. I feel better about everything. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, KBLX.
Thank you, KBLX Nation. Keisha's Collection, Latoya Carr, I see you. Stacy Rhymes says, I definitely shared on my page. All right, this is awesome information here. You guys have a great rest of your day. Patience. Don't expect the results before we go to sleep tonight. Thank you so much, Keisha. And just remain centered and grounded with this new approach and new information. Thank you guys so much. Nikki Thomas in the afternoon, 102.9 KBLX R&B and old school. We decide the future. Thank you so much.